Welcome again. And this video talks about project typology uh, based on innovation landscape, or another way to put it is project classification based on scope. We can have projects with stable scope. We can have project with unstable scope. So towards the end of this video, we'll have that typology. Going further, first thing that we need to understand, and a key phrase that you may have come across in this unit, is what we call as the fuzzy front end. When we start a project, we may have a lot of uncertainty, which is what we call as fuzzy front end. And those fuzziness, or what I call as the pie in the sky. Pie in the sky means something that's very broad idea. We do not know much details of that idea. We need to work towards resolving those uncertainties or the fuzziness of that front end of the project. Identify product features, scopes, that would be opted by the customer segments that we are targeting, the value propositions that we are trying to serve them, and also their technical and financial feasibility, which is the second stage. And towards the end, we need to implement, or we need to identify the scope of work required to deliver the promised value proposition to the customer segment. So a project would have different phases. At the beginning, we'll have what we call as fuzzy front end. This is and this fuzzy front end is more pronounced for what we call as innovative projects. What are those innovative projects? We'll just find out in a few slides. Now, what we are doing is we are trying to link project management with innovation or the scope. With innovative opportunities, with more innovative opportunities, the scope would be more unstable. There'll be more fuzziness because innovation means new things, and the greater the novelty of that idea that we are pursuing, the greater the fuzziness would be for that idea. Now, before we go deeper into this one, let me quickly talk about the difference between creativity or newness and innovation. So innovation has to have some utility. It needs to be used, or it needs to what we call as a new match between a solution and a need. It needs to fulfill a need. It needs to be used by somebody. A new idea put into use is what we refer to as innovation. More formally, is the implementation of creative ideas into some useful new device or process, which is different to creativity. Yes, innovation is a function of creativity. One needs to be creative, come up with new ideas, novel ideas. It could be individual or team, and that individual creativity is a function of different attributes like intellectual abilities, knowledge, personality, motivation, environment. But if that creative idea is put to use, we call that as innovation. So just trying to link together creativity and innovation. Now, two things. When we talk about innovation, and we're talking about some innovations being more novel, more new, we call another way to describe those is what through innovation classification or innovation typology. So we've got two major types of innovation. What we call here is radical or breakthrough innovation, which from this jump you will be able to see that there is a lot of, on the left side or the y-axis you see performance. There is a big jump in performance, what we earlier had and what we later reached. So there's a big jump in specification. We call that through as an S-curve, breakthrough innovation. The arrow that you see, there's a big jump, there's a steep curve here. Whereas in the incremental innovation, those jumps are small. There is progressive increments of small jumps, and that may lead you from point A in performance to point B in performance, but that's through multiple steps increments. That's the difference between an innovation which is quite novel in one jump, whereas there's another innovation called incremental innovation, which is novel in small steps and takes you to different or to a new position, but in multiple steps. So one big jump, what we call as breakthrough innovation, multiple small jumps, we call that as incremental innovation. So scope would be more uncertain for breakthrough innovation. Scope would be less uncertain or would be more stable for what we call as incremental innovation. Another key difference between, or the very formal definition that clearly identifies the difference between breakthrough innovation and incremental innovation, is what you see in bold here. So a radical or breakthrough innovation experiments with new ideas, schemes, and approaches to create entirely new technologies and markets, create a new market that did not exist previously. Whereas um, an incremental innovation serves new needs, relying on existing technologies, proven solutions for the customer, for the current customer demands, right? New needs, but current customer market. So a breakthrough innovation creates an entirely new market which never existed before. For example, iPhone, for example, Facebook. Nowadays we have got space travel, SpaceX. They're exploring a market related with space. That market does not exist at the moment. So when they will be able to create that, that will be a breakthrough innovation. Whereas if there's existing market and we're trying to fill the needs of existing market, that's mainly through incremental innovation. Now, let's go to the typology that we promised, and it comes from Davies and Brady, 2016. The reference will be later in the slides. So we've got two broad types of projects based on their scope or relative innovation. One is called routine project. As with the incremental innovation, they exploit the existing base. Same with incremental innovation, utilize proven technology. Same with incremental innovation, and mature products and address current customer demands. This is what we call as routine projects. They're more aligned with what we call as incremental innovation. Whereas innovative projects, which supports base moving strategies that explore innovative alternatives, experiment with new ideas, schemes, and approaches, and create entirely new technologies and markets. That's what we call as breakthrough innovation. So innovative projects are those which make a big jump in performance specification, which are targeting a high degree of novelty. So there will be a greater scope and stability. So we've got routine projects and innovative projects. We are trying to link them to innovation and thus also with the relevant scope. Now going back to the framework 1 project operation spectrum that we learned in the first week, what we now see is innovative projects are more towards on the right hand side because that's totally unique, high degree of novelty. And the routine projects are more towards the left side of the spectrum. The novelty is less. Point to remember here is that the framework 1 is not a dichotomy. It's not that a project would only lie in this side or that side or belonging to one category. It's a spectrum. It could lie anywhere in between, more towards totally unique or more towards completely repetitive. Within a project, we may have some tasks which would be more repetitive and some tasks would be very unique. So we should see it as a spectrum. And another learning that we now want to bring here is innovative projects are more towards exploring and routine projects are more focused on exploitation. What is exploration and what is exploitation? This is what we call as strategies to achieve incremental or radical innovation. So exploration is pursuit of new knowledge or search, variation, risk-taking, experimentation, flexibility, discovery, and innovation. Whereas exploitation is use and development of things already known in existing technology. That's what we call as the incremental innovation. So exploration targets radical innovation that you see here. Exploitation targets incremental based on existing market, existing technologies, proven technologies, whereas exploration is targeting brand new technologies, things that we previously did not know or did not have prior knowledge of. Again, like the framework 1, it's not a dichotomy, exploration and exploitation. Most businesses would concurrently opt for either exploration or exploitation because you need to have some projects to give you targeting routine projects so that you get some revenue coming, while in order to stay competitive you are investing in the exploration strategies so that you can come up with innovative projects, you can deliver breakthrough innovation. So most organizations that we see around ourselves are what we call as ambidextrous. So those organizations that target ambidexterity, that's simultaneously opting for exploration and exploitation. An example of that one is what we see here. More details of what an exploitative business look like. They're more targeting, cost saving, making decision based on cost, efficiency, and competency would be operational to do things more efficiently, doing more from less. Whereas exploratory business is, targeting innovation, experimentation, risk taking, growth instead of productivity. And as we talked about, if in predictive project management, because you can predict the course of action, you want people to follow your path that you dictate them. We call command and control, which is predictive project management. Whereas for exploratory business, for breakthrough innovation, you need, because the course is unknown, you rely on people's collective knowledge, their intellectual ability to identify future course of action. So it's more visionary involvement. That those concepts, type of concepts, are more aligned with what we call as exploratory business. Again, it's a spectrum, ambidextrous organization. They do both exploratory and exploitative business. Last, in terms of an example from a project management context, what you see here is very similar to exploratory and exploitative business, but we are not talking in terms of projects. So here we've got the project portfolio management, which we now know is a strategic selection of projects, to get the revenue coming. So the margin wouldn't be there. So there will be mainly routine project, whereas there will be some projects which would have high market share potentially, and we've got our competitive position higher as well, so there will be more margins there. So those some projects called bread and butter project, and some projects which is like routine projects, and some projects are called competitive projects or strategic projects which promise more. And each organization would have a combination of bread and butter projects and long-term projects, or what we call as exploratory projects through exploration, innovative projects, so that there are more margins there, and that would ensure the competitive position in the long run. Thank you very much. And in this video, what we've talked is we have tried to link innovation to project management, to identify a project management typology or projects classification by virtue of scope, stable scope, unstable scope, which is linked to type of innovation, innovative projects, and routine projects, exploration, exploitation. So that's what we have achieved in this unit. Thank you very much.